takes it in overtime. Brady can chop, breakaway shoots, scores!
Welcome to Sens Talk. My name is Brandon and I am your host tonight. Ottawa took on Les Habitants, the Montreal Canadiens, here in the nation's capital of Ottawa. And tonight, it was a big game because last night, Ottawa took on the Toronto Maple Leafs, a big-time rival in the Battle of Ontario. Now they play the Canadiens tonight, another big-time rival. Both of them are the biggest rivals the Ottawa Senators have, so a back-to-back of epic proportions tonight as Ottawa faces off again against a rival. But before we get into the game recap, I just want to say this really quickly. Thank you to everyone that nominated us for 3 separate categories at this year's Ottawa Faces Magazine Awards. We're up for 3 different categories: Best Blog, Best Sports Podcast, and Best YouTube Channel. Thank you all for your support. It really means the world to us. If you want to vote for us, we'll put the link to that in the description below and the comment section down below. Your support means the world for us. And if you were interested in voting for us, you can do so at the links down below. Now let's get into tonight's game, Ottawa against Les Habitants. It was a sold-out crowd tonight at the Canadian Tire Centre for the second time in 3 games. Great on ya, Sens fans. A lot of Habs fans there, of course, but still a good amount of Sens fans too. Definitely more than Habs fans. So the crowd was great, really into it, really early on. And we'll talk about that in a second because the Habs were really going there in the first period of play, and you really heard the Montreal fans in the stands. But before we dive into the first period of play, just quickly, I have to mention this. There's a lineup change for tonight's game. Besides this one lineup change, the rest of the lineup remains the same. That means Anton Forsberg would start back-to-back games. Of course, Cam Talbot is out until after the All-Star break, so Mandolisi's the backup. Ottawa, Forsberg played really well last night, so Ottawa, DJ Smith, they wanted to start Forsberg again. Makes quite a lot of sense if you ask me. Now, back to what I was about to say. Tyler Mott returns to the lineup. Austin Watson, I'm very surprised about this, is out. Austin Watson, in my opinion, he's a cool guy, great in the locker room, not the best player on the ice. He's fine, physical guy, doesn't really win many fights, doesn't really do much out there. But I was surprised to see him, out of the lineup. I thought DJ Smith would never scratch him. He did. So he is out of the lineup for tonight's game. First time, I think, ever as an Ottawa Senator he's been scratched. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, but I do believe this is the first time ever he's been scratched. A healthy scratch as an Ottawa Senator. Now let's get to the first period of play, and as I kind of alluded to earlier, the first period, Anton Forsberg, and this is why Ottawa, DJ Smith, wanted to start Anton Forsberg back-to-back. He looked great against the Toronto Maple Leafs last night, especially in that first period of play. He is the reason Ottawa won that game decisively over the Maple Leafs yesterday, because in that first period yesterday, the Leafs were all over the Ottawa Senators and Anton Forsberg. Same thing tonight. Montreal swarmed Anton Forsberg. He was called upon, quite frankly, way too often in that first period of play, and he made stop after stop after stop in that first period and throughout the game. So after 20 minutes of play, it's 0-0, but that's thanks to Anton Forsberg and some incredible play. He did not look like he played less than 24 hours prior. So an incredible start to the game for Anton Forsberg, and let's just say that would continue on throughout the game. Let's get to the second period of play, and 20 seconds in, Ottawa is off and running again early on in the period. Claude Giroux flips the puck out through the neutral zone. Alex DeBrincat picks it up, snipes it on a 2-on-1, and the Ottawa Senators, they strike first. It's 1-0 Ottawa, and Alex DeBrincat, he needed that one badly. Last night against Toronto, I mentioned it briefly, he had a few chances he had to score on, and he finally got a goal here. So that's the monkey off the back, hopefully for Alex DeBrincat. That's a huge one. Ottawa leads 1-0. 8 minutes later, Greg, again on the power play with a nifty pass to guess who? Claude Giroux, of course. 2-0 Ottawa. Both of really Greg's NHL points have been off of Claude Giroux power play goals. Their connection is something else. That's also 3 games in a row where Claude Giroux has gotten a goal, and suddenly the Senators are up by 2. It's 2-0 Ottawa. And then guess what? 2 minutes later, Claude Giroux again! 3-0 Ottawa off Zajac and in. And the Senators score 3-0. That's back-to-back games where Ottawa scored a goal off a defender. It's unbelievable. This is back-to-back games where the team Ottawa played against gave up a goal. They scored on their own net. It's unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen that, especially in a back-to-back. But guess what? Timothy Liljegren yesterday probably wants to be an Ottawa Senator. That's why he scored for us. Maybe Zajac. Even though there was some beef between us and him during, the camp and during the rookie tournament, I think he might want to be an Ottawa Senator. That was a nice little tip out front there for Zajac. Ottawa leads 3-0 going into the third period of play. And in the third period, Ottawa took complete control of this one. After the Habs came out flying, and the Habs are injured. Depleted. It's basically the Laval Rocket there against the Ottawa Senators. I mean, Cole Caulfield's out, for example. They're dealing with a lot of injuries. And in that third period, you really saw it happen. After a great start where they came out flying, they're a young team, very inexperienced. You're going to see a lot of momentum shifts from the Canadiens. You saw that early in the first period where they were flying, a lot of good momentum. And then you saw the opposite side of that in the third period where it was bad momentum. Ottawa did not give up a shot for the first 15 minutes of the third period of play. The Canadiens were absolutely stifled in the third period, could not get anything going, and Ottawa absolutely controlled the pace of the play. They would end up emptying the net with about 4 minutes left. They had a power play. Say, why not, right? Why wouldn't you empty the net with 4 minutes left down by 3 goals? So they do, but guess what? Matthew Joseph banks it off the board and into the empty net. 4-0 Senators, and then for good insurance, a couple of minutes later, Derek Brassard, oh my, what a pass here from Batherson, right to Derek Brassard on the breakaway, top shelf, 5-0 Senators, as the Senators win 5-0 over Les Habitants. That's back-to-back wins over the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens. 2 massive rivals, 2 massive W's. The Senators are back in the win column, back-to-back W's, and the vibes are back. What a great feeling. The crowd at the CCC tonight was buzzing. Sens Twitter was electric. Tonight was a great night. And a great sense of what this Ottawa Senator team could be if everything is clicking. The goaltending was fantastic. Forsberg with the shutout, 28 saves. Unbelievable, especially on a back-to-back. I mean, really, Greg, third NHL game, does not look out of place. DeBrincat snipes it finally, looking great as usual, finally putting it in the back of the net too. Claude Giroux, I mean, this guy is unreal. 34 years old, 35 years old, point-per-game player, just absolutely dominating there on the second line. Tkachuk, Stützle didn't get on the score sheet tonight, but guess what? They were making some good plays there on the power play. Stützle especially. Stützle, I mean, he's so dynamic, it's unbelievable. So a night like tonight really shows you that Ottawa, when healthy, with Joseph back in the lineup, with really Greg now in the lineup, with a much more full 4 lines there for Ottawa's forward core. The Senators can roll 4 lines, and they look much more complete out there. Now, going back to Claude Giroux, he's gotten now 3 points in the last 4 games in a row. Claude Giroux is absolutely on a heater, and it's really unfortunate if Ottawa does not make the playoffs this year, because Claude Giroux, frankly, is having a career year. I mean, for a 35-year-old to be doing what he's doing, it's absolutely insane, and 3 points in his last 4 games in a row just really puts the cherry on top and really exemplifies what I'm trying to say there. He's unbelievable, and, once again, it kind of still is... It's kind of starstruck, I guess, for me. I don't know what the proper term would be, but the fact that Claude Giroux is an Ottawa Senator, it still hasn't sunk in for me. It's such an awesome, awesome thing. Now, Anton Forsberg, in this 5-0 W, 28 saves. I mean, you got to give it up to Anton Forsberg, especially on a back-to-back situation. You're at home against a depleted Montreal Canadiens lineup, sure, but 28 saves on a back-to-back and a shutout, that's impressive. End of story. That first period, I mean, Anton Forsberg is the reason why the Montreal Canadiens did not score. He made some unreal stops. So it's great to see some consistency again in the crease for the Ottawa Senators. And when Ottawa takes on the Canadiens on Tuesday, no doubt Forsberg will be back in the net for your Senators. Now in this back-to-back against the 2 rivals, Ottawa outscored the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens 11-2. Utter dominance against these 2 fraud franchises. And of course, they picked up 2 points against both teams, which means Ottawa is now only at a single point deficit from the last playoff spot. They're 8 points out. It's a long shot, but hey, you know what? We want to win games. We win more than we lose. Maybe we have a chance. And just getting in the conversation again would make things interesting. We want to be competitive. We don't want to be a laughingstock. We want to be competitive. We want to be in the conversation. We want to be playing meaningful games. And yeah, you know what? I love Connor Bedard too. And yeah, once again, if we lose games, better odds of Bedard. If we win games, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll go on a crazy playoff run. That's where I'm at right now. At the end of the day, if we lose games, hey, we have a shot at some really good prospects in the draft. And if we win, hey, maybe we'll make the playoffs. At the end of the day, I'm just happy with the team as long as they perform well and they're not going out there just rolling through 4 lines, rolling through 60 minutes, going through the motions, and then getting off the ice like they were doing earlier in the season. Play with passion, play with heart, and I'll be okay with the performance. Now, besides that, the next Senator game, like I mentioned before, is on Tuesday at 7 o'clock against the Montreal Canadiens in Montreal. That one should be a fun one. And then after that, Ottawa doesn't play for like 11 or 12 days. They have the All-Star break, and then a few days after that as well off. So we'll have some great content for you guys during that break, probably an interview or 2, and some Let's Talk episodes. So besides that, I'll see you on Tuesday. Thank you all for watching. Ottawa takes down the Canadiens 5-0 back-to-back W's against some big-time rivals. Let's make it 3 in a row on Tuesday night. I will see you all then. Go Sens, go.